Well, guys, it looks like the Vancouver Canucks are at it again. This GM does not stop. Just as of today, we found out that the Vancouver Canucks have traded their first round pick they acquired in the Bo Horvat trade from the Islanders and a second round pick of their own in order to obtain Filip Hronek from the Detroit Red Wings. And honestly, this one caught me by surprise.
It caught me by surprise too. I did not see this trade coming. I think this trade makes sense for both teams, but I'm gonna let you have your take on it first.
Yeah, my first thought when I saw this was another Stevie Y robbery. This guy is going to be likely getting a pick that's going to be the first round. And since it's the Islanders, they're potentially going to be a wild card team. So that pick's going to be about 17th or 18th overall. But this is a very deep draft, and I thought it was a little risky for Vancouver to give up that kind of draft capital. I know partially the reason they're doing it is their defensive core is horrible right now. Like outside of Quinn Hughes, you could pretty much bin everyone else. Like it's awful. But I thought this was not the type of guy that they'd give up that much draft capital for.
I don't mind the draft capital they gave up, but the thing is, I find the timing extremely weird. Like the fact that they did it in the trade deadline is weird to me because this is a team that is out of playoffs.
Oh
like,
yeah,
Vancouver's
no
way
chance.
out. There's no chance this team's gonna make the playoffs. I thought this would be a move that they might make in the offseason. I wouldn't think they would make it now.
That would make more sense.
That would make more sense because Filip Hronek is a good age. He's a 25-year-old defenseman. He's a good defenseman. He has close to 40 points this year already and 60 games played. Very good defenseman, and he's playing behind Moritz Seider for the second half of for the last few games there. So this is a good two-way defenseman. I think Vancouver got a really good defenseman, an established defenseman, something that they actually need. A young, established defenseman that has played a few seasons in the NHL. So if you look at the defense on the core on the Vancouver Canucks, is very bare. It's very, very bad outside Quinn Hughes. So the fact that they added Filip Hronek, a young guy who is in the same age group as Elias Pettersson and Kuzmenko and all these other guys, is a very good add for them.
I think that does have something to it. I think the age of being 25 years old and having a core that's roughly around 24 to 26 years old right now between like guys like Kuzmenko and Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, I think that they wanted to retool fast. I think this team's kind of in a rush because they signed Pettersson to a bridge contract, which is actually looking to probably age really bad for them because this guy has had an amazing career year. Like he has just been insane. Like this guy's top 10 right now in NHL scoring. It's absolutely wild how great he's been. And I think it's going to cost them a lot of money on his next contract. And that decides if he even wants to stay with this team. Because, Pettersson as a free agent that could go anywhere else, would you stay with a team that's not competitive and you have only been to the playoffs one time? So I do think that they're in a little bit of a rush to try to prove to him they're doing things for the now, to try to be good now, rather than relying on a draft pick that may or may not work out or take 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, the expectation in the offseason this past year was very high in Vancouver. We expected this team to make the wild card spot, and they didn't. They're not even close. So the expectation, they didn't meet the expectation this year, and there's a big problem. This team has the roster on paper to make the playoffs in the preseason, right? So they got the guys like JT Miller, and all these guys are like in their prime or a little bit past their prime. They need to win now. So that's why they picked up this Filip Hronek. I think he's good. Keep in mind, Filip Hronek is also not a rental. He's got one more year remaining on this contract next year at $4.4 million cap hit, which is a very reasonable cap hit, which explains why they gave up so much for him.
Yeah, when I saw this move, one thing I thought right away actually relating to Vancouver is I think this means that Thatcher Demko is no longer on the table for trade. I think they're going to hold on to him because it looks like they're just trying to do a quick retool. And if they were to get rid of a guy like Demko who has carried them for the last 3 years, I don't think that would be advantageous for the win now or win soon mentality. So I think what they're going to do is either try to pick up another defenseman in the offseason to kind of get a solid 4 defensemen going, and then probably run 2 young kids in the 5-6 spot, and then try to go for it again. Because, guys like Kuzmenko is already in his prime. Even though he's a rookie, he's 26, 27 years old. He's not really a normal rookie. And then Pettersson's playing lights out right now. JT Miller has only got a couple good years probably left in him, so they got to try to squeeze that while they can, because I don't think they're going to find anyone to take that contract.
Yeah, the only question mark I have currently is what do they do with Brock Besser? I'm pretty sure he's going to get traded, right?
I think that's the one, and they're going to
Yeah.
use whatever capital I get. I'm hearing that he might be traded, not that this is a rumors episode, but to the Pittsburgh Penguins. A lot of talk on that right now. The Penguins trying to go for him, so we'll see if that actually comes to fruition or not. But likely, knowing that team, they might give up a first for this guy, and that would be something Vancouver could use for the offseason to go get another established top 4 defenseman.
It's kind of weird because for me personally, I know this video is not about Brock Besser, but Brock Besser also fits that age group that Elias Pettersson and Filip Hronek and all these other guys. So I feel like at this point, I don't know. He's also on a contract for a few more years, right? So I just feel like I don't know why.
I feel like they just think the guy needs a fresh start at this point.
Yeah, I guess so. But if they were to trade him, like we talked about in previous videos, they're gonna have to eat up some cap.
Yeah, probably. Let's talk quickly about the Detroit side of this deal because, like, once again, this team is adding picks. And I know they've done that for the last, 3, 4, 5 years now. Like, Detroit's just hoarding picks. But I think it also shows that they're really confident in the progression right now of Simon Edvinsson for defense for the upcoming season. Next year, I think this guy is going to be a full-time player, and I think he is likely going to be eating 18, 19 minutes a game. Like, this guy is absolutely unreal. He's putting up half a point per game right now in the AHL, which is really solid for a defenseman, as well as the fact that his game is just maturing all around, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah, this is a really weird trade for me from Detroit side, just for the fact that I thought Hronek was part of the building block for this team. So the fact that he got rid of him really surprised me more than anything. I think Filip Hronek is a very good player. I obviously I know the cornerstone of that defense core is Moritz Seider. Everyone knows that, but I thought Hronek is another guy they're building off of as well. So it's kind of a weird trade for me. I know they have a Simon Edvinsson. We saw him play in Red Deer. Very good player. Big boy. But yeah, very, very interesting.
No, I think their prospects are going to get more of a crack at it at the end of this year. I might even see him come in and play 9 games. They won't want to burn his contract, so it probably won't be more than 9 games. But they'll get a little taste of the NHL. And then they have a couple other kids coming up in the system, plus high draft capital this year. You never know. I think this team's going to be okay, though. Stevie Y is in a good direction. And I think he picked a good time to sell some of these guys because the East right now is stacked. Now is not the time to strike if you're a Detroit Red Wings fan. Be patient for another year, maybe 2 years, and then I think you're going to have the best chance of going far and maybe winning a Stanley Cup.
I mean, they lost, 3 straight already?
Yeah, so they knew. They called it. The second they lost 2 in a row, they're like, okay, we're probably not making it. And if we do, we're probably playing Boston or Tampa, Toronto. Yeah. They're like, we don't want to deal with this. We're just going to wait another year for these teams and strike when it's a better opportunity.
And imagine them watching all these other teams like New York Rangers, all the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, they all went all in. What are you going to do when you get a playoff match against these guys? Like, you're screwed. Yeah, you're screwed. It's a waste of time.
Even Ottawa kind of loaded up today.
Yeah. No, there's too much competition in the East. I think it's good that they're waiting on it, and I think it's good that they actually made this trade, get rid of Hronek and bring in some more picks.
Yeah, there's going to be way more trades to come for Detroit. I know Tyler Bertuzzi will be moved at some point, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the rest of this trade deadline as we get close to our last couple days before it's done. But guys, until next time, we'll talk to you later and have a great day.
Bye.